Welcome back to the show, folks. This is the Shankly Session, the Liverpool podcast we bring you each and every week. Head out to YouTube, smash that subscribe button. Of course, the channel is the upper tier. The Shankly Sessions is the Liverpool podcast within the upper tier. This is your instant match reaction and player ratings to a very good and needed result for Liverpool against Wolves tonight at Anfield, running out 2-0 winners. Darwin unlucky with a goal getting disallowed in the 66th minute, I think it was, or 63rd minute. Very unlucky. Jota with the foul, coughing up the goal basically. But very, very good goal from Van Dijk. Jota with the presence there to see the ball and flick it back into the middle for Van Dijk to put it away was a classy kind of goal, typical goal from us. And of course, Mo Salah then finishing it off 2-0. Running out 2-0 winners, up till 6th in the table. 6 points off Spurs, who are in 4th, but we do still have a game in hand. I would preface this by being happy by the result tonight. Again, another clean sheet. That's 4 clean sheets in the Premier League. A very, very good win, although we had the 5-2 drubbing by Madrid. But in the league, that's now 4 clean sheets, which is always a very good sign, considering all season we've been coughing up goals early. But if you break down kind of the two halves, in the first half, I still seeing that kind of lethargic shades of what I seen on Saturday night at Palace. Now, at one stage, I was asking myself, what's the difference between this performance and the Palace performance? And I was putting it down really to geography more than anything else. So the first half, I still think there was a lot of work to be done. A lot of players finding themselves out of positions. Bietic, as we said, picking up the customary booking basically, which sort of limits his game. He has to be careful. Fabinho also afterwards as well picking up a booking, which was absolutely scandalous. Paul Tierney as a referee is absolutely shocking. Absolutely shocking. Paul Tierney as a referee at times had no control over that game, couldn't see the game for what it was, and I just don't know what he wanted Fabinho to do on that tackle when the guy Lamina, I think it was, coming in with his studs up and stuff like that, sliding along the ground. Where was Fabinho going to go? It was Fabinho who was in control of the ball. But just showed Tierney absolutely shocking as a referee, Let's take some comments before we get into it. Henry, my man, is in the comments. Henry Ray Baker channel. Check out Henry's channel. 1 sub off 80. Someone go over there, sub that man's channel. Absolutely. Hi Niall, thank goodness for that. 2-0, clean sheet to piss on. Absolutely. 1 sub off 80. Someone drop over, sub his channel. Dar's in the comments. Great win tonight. Absolutely, Dar. Good to hear from you. Hope you're enjoying the show. Absolutely. And my man Morris is in Cheapy Productions podcast. Sort him out as well. Get over there, sub to his channel as well. Doing great things over there, especially if you're a fan of pro wrestling and music and stuff like that. But especially pro wrestling at the moment, he is on fire at the minute. Spurs take the headlines. Richarlison, that's the fella Darren rates, isn't it? Don't worry about that, Morris. I'll be talking to Darren about that tomorrow night. I hate that bum Richarlison. I'm sure people know it. The Dugout Football Channel. How are you, my friend? Good to see you on, man. Happy enough with that result tonight now. But again, as I said, it was 2 halves. Really, really difficult one to kind of, because you get the result and because you get the clean sheet and because we've been starved of it so much for most of the season, we kind of have to celebrate these moments when they come. But we do have to, that lethargicness, that slowness, that stale play, that wasteful constant use of Alisson when we're in reasonable positions was there to see still in the first half and stuff like that. And again, no disrespect to Wolves, who a couple of times this season have done numbers on us at times. They are down at 15th. They are struggling. They are shy of goals. So we should be doing a number on them at Anfield. Regardless of our own problems and stuff like that, we should be certainly, the expectation should be to at least beat Wolves at Anfield. And we did, and we kept a clean sheet. So fair play to the boys. I felt in the first half cost us as well. I'm looking at some of the ratings here, including my own ratings. He's been getting some decent ratings there and stuff like that, 7s and stuff. But there was times in that first half where he just lacked that positional nous. And you're seeing it even in the second half. You see Allison with a quick throw out, and he's just jogging off. He's just not aware of what's going on around him at times. Certainly defensively, I thought he was okay, but I just think at times he just wasn't aware of the game that was unfolding around him. Um, Tierney is a plank, absolutely, Doug. He's horrific as a referee, absolutely horrific. Um, it doesn't matter, Henry, whether he hates us or not. I mean, you have to call the game as you see it. And he didn't even. He should have went. He should have got. He should have looked at that book in there, that Fabinho book, and he should have seen it for what it was. Your man came in from the tackle. What was he expecting Fabinho to do? Fabinho's not a dirty player. You know what I mean? He's certainly not a dirty player. So, going up on him like that, he wasn't going on. It wasn't a stamp or anything like that. He just had nowhere to go with his feet. Absolutely ridiculous. Um, and Morris back in. Any sign of Diego Costa? Diego Costa did come on, Morris. Funny enough, you mentioned that he came on, and I don't know. He's such a weird choice there as well. They're shy of goals. He came on at one stage. He was playing out on the right wing, you know what I mean? And the centre was just wide open and stuff like that. But Diego Costa's there. He's picking up a check there and he knows it, you know what I mean? He came on he came on just after Salah, I think, scored and stuff like that. He went up and he slapped Salah on the hand. He was smiling with him and stuff like that. So that guy's kind of enjoying his time back in England again. But I don't think he offers Wolves a whole lot, to be honest. Interesting, what are the other talking points? Craig Dawson as well. I said, Craig Dawson is a weird one, isn't it, as well? Like, even tonight as well, at times, just shipping our boys out of the way and stuff like that. And the other night it was Jordan Ayew. Tonight it's Craig Dawson. Then Diego Costa's coming on. It's weird. And my man Mark Forrest is in the comments. How are you? Had sloppy periods, need to be more clinical. Would start the same team versus United. Start the same team versus United. Certainly, I was very happy with most elements of the back line. I probably think Robbo has to come back in over Costas. That would be one of my shouts there. I think Costas tonight, although the build-up play for the Salah goal and all, I thought was brilliant, but I just thought at times he wasn't in the game, or his head wasn't in the game, or his concentration wasn't there. That slight lapse in concentration there. And even at times tonight, our 18-year-old midfielder Stefan Bajcetic is having to tell people where their positional sense would be. And something, I'm glad he did it as well. He's telling senior players where he wants them and stuff like that. And I love that in a kid that's 18 to have that size of balls on him to do that. So I really, really liked it when he was saying to Costas, where should you be and stuff like this and all, So happy enough of that. Henry back in as well. But we now have a week to prepare for the biggie on Sunday. Yeah, 4 days, isn't it? 4 days this Sunday. Yeah, that's going to be a big one. That's my fear. My only fear going into that game, apart from how well they're playing, you see it even tonight. They come back after being 1-0 down to run out 3-1 winners. There's just a certain momentum with United that I haven't felt in 10 years. And I've often said on the podcast and stuff like that, you really have to, when their head is under the water, you have to keep your foot on it, because if you let them up for a breath, that's when they become very dangerous. And I think that is a real concern for me. There's a togetherness with them, and there's a bond with them and stuff like that. And like you're saying it with our lads tonight as well, once the goal went in, the relief of the goal going in, to be able to relax and settle into the game, then to get that second goal, which really killed off the game. I mean, Wolves, most of the night anyway, Wolves weren't the real threat, bar that one chance for Jimenez. I think what else did they produce, You're bringing on Adama Traore, and like, you shouldn't have to worry about anything he's going to do, because that lad will be lucky with a shot if he even hit the cop, to be honest, near alone a goal. But it's one of those things, isn't it? It's just, you can see it in the lads tonight, that the pressure lifted off them once Van Dijk scored that goal. But I just think with United at the moment, there's a certain run on there. And again, it's a huge game as well for us, because, it continues our run in the top four. This game coming up on Sunday, it's a massive opportunity for us to try and win. We certainly owed them one from earlier in the season, where we didn't show up and present ourselves the way we should, and they kind of made shit of us a little bit in the first half and stuff like that. We were a little bit better in the second half and stuff, but just they ran us ragged a bit in that first game earlier on in the season. But they're in stellar form at the moment. They're coming off the back of winning a trophy. They're coming off the back there of being down to West Ham at home, changed it up, brought on some reinforcements, turned the game around and won 3-1, which is a real good sign of a team that's added, if you like. So Sunday's going to be a huge game, massive game. For us, it's a huge 3 points. Obviously, it's against our rivals as well, but it's a huge 3 points as well in terms of our push for a top 4 spot. But it's also an opportunity to kind of halt their move into a title race. And you look at the teams that have gone out in the FA Cup tonight and stuff like that. They're after drawing Fulham, as far as I know, in the quarterfinals. So let's see how that goes. It's not the easiest of draws they would have gotten the quarterfinals, but certainly they'll embrace it and they'll go for it. That could be potentially another trophy for them. You'd be a brave man to back against them in the Europa League. And then what you have is you have them pretty close in terms of a title race. Although Arsenal winning well tonight, I think it was 4-0 against Everton. Morris was telling me that's a huge win for Arsenal as well, and that will give them the confidence to push on as well. But don't count anything out at the moment. It's so tight there at the minute. Let's take some comments. Where are we? Mark, I did. Henry, I did. Yeah, there we go. What's the crack, Niall? How are you, Eno? Good to see you, man. Hope you're keeping good. I'm sure you're delighted. The wife is back, bro, he says. Absolutely. I'm sure you're delighted with that, Eno. Great to have her back again, no doubt. Henry Ray Baker channel in again. 3 days to prepare for the biggie. Absolutely. Then Morris is here. If Arsenal keep this up, Niall, we could end up in a title race. Morris, stop. Happy that you bet everything, though. Happy that you bet everything. It's theirs to lose cheap. Yeah, absolutely. And then Ted's in. Nunes was cheated. His goal should have stood. I don't know, Ted. I don't know. I mean, he did. My biggest problem was that I thought that the Wolves player in front of the Wolves player that got fouled kind of pushed Jota into the player, and he kind of had nowhere really to go, and then he collided with him and took him down. So I think it depends on where you look at it. I think the goalie took really well. My first thought on it when it was going to VAR was that Jota was kind of interfering with it, and maybe he was offside or something like that. They were going to back and look at that way. When they called it for the foul, they didn't really look at the nudge that your man had put on the back of Jota beforehand to go into the player and stuff like that. So yeah, it's kind of ifs and buts and stuff like that. I think if I was on the receiving end of that goal, I wouldn't be too happy about it. I wouldn't be too upset about it being chalked off, to be honest. But again, it's Tierney. He's just a woeful referee. Ian's back in. It's Morris on the chat. Good man. Absolutely. Yeah, Morris here every night doing the biz. Morris in. Hope so, Henry. Keep up the good work. Yeah, absolutely. Cheap. And then absolutely. And Henry back in again. Do you think Brighton can overtake us? Not a chance. Yeah, Mark, what do you think? Everton going to have to dig deep. They are going to have to dig deep big time. And, you sometimes you kind of feel a point in Sean Dyche. It doesn't really ring that kind of Sam Allardyce saviour effect to me. You know what I mean? It's nearly an appointment that makes you feel like, are you preparing for life in the Championship? How do you feel about it, Mark, as well? I mean, would you be happy for Everton to go down? I get asked this all the time. Would you be happy for Everton to go down into the Championship, or would your preference be for the Merseyside derby to stay intact, basically? Interesting comments. Always an interesting debate. Ted back in as well. Yep, that's how I saw it. Jota was pushed into the Wolves player. Yeah, I think it's just the way he went down and collided with him and his leg came across him. Looked a little bit awkward, but I don't think Tierney, being the absolutely stupid referee that he is, I don't think he probably even looked at the push on Jota's back first. Um, and Ian's back in. Wife says hello. Tell her hello back in. Oh, absolutely glad that she's back home safe and sound and stuff like that. And that family is back together again. Always very important. And Ted's back in again as well. I just want him to have it for the fantasy football, really. Yeah, Ted, I don't think you were there. I wasn't expecting you to be a flag bearer there at all for Darwin Núñez waving the flag from and stuff like that. Or Diogo Jota. I knew the fantasy football was in the background of it. Absolutely. And Henry back in, just like their stadium, Mark. Yeah, just like their stadium. Yeah. Henry, what do you think, Henry? Actually, let us know your thoughts. Would you be happy for Everton to get relegated, or would you want Everton to stay up to keep the Merseyside derby intact? I think like Liverpool is a fantastic city, worthy of two teams like that, and the history and the legacy and the lineage of Everton Football Club and stuff like that. My fear would be that if they go down, that it's another Leeds effect again, that we mightn't see them for 10, 15, 20 years back in the Premier League. Who knows? I certainly see, I could probably name about 8 players that hit the exit door straight away if they went down. That's for sure. Cheap is back in. Cheap Heat. Jose Mourinho, imagine, yeah, we were talking about it earlier, Morris. Morris, I'd be very happy for Jose Mourinho to go back in there. Talk of Jose Mourinho potentially going back to Chelsea. Good Lord. How far do you have to fall to want that? Shocking. Shocking. And also, we were talking, didn't he get sent off again for Roma? It's like he wants out, doesn't he? Mark back in. Sean Dyche, the wrong choice for me. Very defensive. Don't want to see them go down. Yeah, I'm off that point as well. I've spoke to a lot of Reds, Mark, as well, and a lot of Reds have turned around and said, yeah, they'd be happy to see them get relegated just for the banter. Look, me as much as anyone. I mean, I've been over there now to a couple of finals, where I did the viewings up in Aintree and in Anfield for the Kiev final and stuff like that, and like just to come out of those stadiums and out of that racetrack after those finals last year and in 18, and for Everton fans to be setting off fireworks in Stanley Park celebrating the fact that we lost and stuff like that, the shithouse is different level. So that version of me walking out was going, yeah, get relegated. The other version of me is, well, I want to keep the Merseyside derby, don't lose it. But I think you're spot on. I said it at the time as well. I didn't think Dyche was the man to go in there whatsoever. Now, listen, don't get me wrong. Losing 4-0 to Arsenal, it's more the expected than it is the shock. Cheap Heat back in again. Wouldn't be happy ending. Wouldn't be a happy ending for Jose. Has there ever been a happy ending for Jose at Chelsea? And Joanna's in. Our top tipster, Joanne. How are you? How did your results go today? Did that come true? Big win for the Gunners and all. You must be really happy with that tonight. Just being on Dave's channel. Oh, brilliant. Yeah, Dave's the man, isn't he? Yeah, absolutely. He came on the other day for the preview and stuff like that. I'll hit him up later. Dave's absolute quality. Even when we have bad games, we go on Dave's channel and all we talk about is 70s and 80s and 90s movies and TV and music and all stuff. It's great. Mark's always on there as well. The banter's always strife. Brilliant stuff. Ted back in again. I think it'd be sad to see Everton go down. They've been a staple of the league. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's my fear, probably like yours, Ted, as well, that if they go down, we may not see them for a while. I wouldn't expect Everton just to have a quick little bounce back in the championship. A championship at time is nearly as tough as the Premier League, if not tougher. And Mark, yeah, at Joanne Smith, yeah, absolutely. It would be going backwards. Jose going back to Chelsea, not forward. Yeah, I suppose he just likes the let's say he has they have a good squad of players there with a little bit of imbalance at the moment. A couple of players maybe that need to be moved on, and of course there will be money there to spend and stuff like that. So Jose would like that, you know. I mean, if you think about it, at Man United he wasn't really given the resources that he wanted at the time, and then you look at what happened at Spurs as well. That documentary is just, I do love him from that one. That Danny Rose one, when Danny Rose says, "I'm going to go off and call Daniel Levy," and he goes, "Off you go." That was quality. I really enjoyed that side of Jose. It was pretty cool. Cheap Heat back in as well. Everton now hold a record of 100 top-level losses to a single club, Arsenal. 2 longest serving teams in the top English league. God, that's mad, isn't it? 100 top-level losses. That's mad, isn't it? When you think about it, and you think about how good Everton were over the years, going back and stuff like that, and I mean even how competitive they were during the Moyes era when Moyes was there. Like was they were pretty good at times and stuff like that. I know. Am I right in saying that Moyes brought them up a couple of times into European spots and stuff like that? And sure, didn't we steal the spot off them in the Champions League by winning at that time and stuff like that? As far as I know, which made it all that more sweeter. And Joanne's back in. I hate Jose. He's a miserable bugger. Yeah, absolutely. But you know something, Joanne? He's a miserable bugger, so he'll fit in perfectly at Chelsea because they're a real darn miserable team at times, aren't they? And Joanne back in again. When are we doing the weekend predictions? That's tomorrow night, Joanne. We'll be doing Thursday tier talk tomorrow night from 9:30. We'll be previewing the weekend, discussing all the action from tonight and the fallout from the FA Cup, and then we'll be launching Beat the Bookie. Yeah, so get working on your predictions for us. Should be good crack tomorrow night. Dazzler will be back on our screens as well to guide me through the predictions. I already have my bets ready and stuff like that, but I won't give anything away. Bit of crack. Money won't help Everton though. Yeah, no, it's look. Some would say that money has been their Achilles heel, hasn't it? Because they have had money and they have spent money, but just look at how they've spent it. Really, really poor mark. I mean, there hasn't been. It's the reason they find themselves in the predicament they're in is because of the volume of money that they've spent. This is the predicament that they're in. And Joanne's back in. Okay, great. Yeah, absolutely, Joanne. Thursday is always the nights for Beat the Bookie and stuff like that. Always good fun. Mark back in again. Like Chelsea can't buy the league. Yeah, I think, you know, the only thing is if they do get in a top level manager, I think if they were to go for push the boat out and get a Zidane or get a Luis Enrique or, you know, something of that ilk, I think you'd see a very different side with a bit of tactical nous and stuff like that. I think at the moment, I think there's players in there that are really, really good and they're just struggling to understand the message that Graham Potter's trying to put across. And I think at times that's their biggest problem. And there's no doubt the talent is there. I mean, you can't doubt the talent of some of the players that are in there. And some of the players that have come in. I mean, you look at Enzo Fernandez, who came in, top young player in the World Cup and stuff like that, wins the World Cup with Argentina. Modric came in, who was sensational for Shakhtar. You know, they have brought in some really, really good players, but it's just Chelsea. It's just a conundrum at the moment, isn't it? Ian, shout out to everyone here in the chat. Good man, Ian. We love that. And of course, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and the bell notification, all that good stuff. And do it for all the channels in the chat if you would, please, as well, if you haven't done it already. If Iwobi starts the next game, that's 38 league starts in a row, a full season. Maybe that's their problem. Morris, I would go as far as to say that Iwobi at times this season has been their shining light, and maybe that's their problem. I mean, they came and they played us, and like we made them look. We were terrible, and we made them look terrible. So that'll tell you exactly where they're at the moment. If us looking as terrible as we did made them look terrible, and like we made that centre back pairing of Cody and Tarkovsky, which I think is a real good defensive centre back pairing and stuff like that. We made them look absolutely terrible at that game at Anfield, and like we were terrible going into it. So yeah, but yeah, good show. Iwobi, yeah. Ted back in as well. Potter could be in even more trouble in the following weeks. Hert Silva is out for a few weeks now. Yeah, the talk that is going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks. It's knee ligament damage. And I don't even know, like, if you're out for 6 to 8 weeks, how long does it take you then to come back as well? You know, and now they do have defenders there. I mean, Badashile is there, Koulibaly's there, Wesley Fofana's back in now. So there's a reasonable core talent there. The problem is, though, Thiago Silva's worth his weight in gold. He's the guy that marshals the team when he can and stuff like that. Having said that, as well, as he's played in a lot of these games where they've struggled at the moment and stuff like that, and I don't think it's necessarily down to him, but I think when you've had a change of partners in there so many times, and when you're trying to keep an eye on everything that's going on around you, especially when you're an experienced player like that, Often you can get distracted from your own job and stuff like that. And we spoke about that a few times as well. Sometimes when Trent isn't playing the way he should and stuff like that, often the centre back for us playing there, be it Matip or Kanate or whoever it is, or Joe Gomez, gets distracted by the obvious stuff that Trent doesn't do, and then gets distracted and opens up that gap in their own position and stuff like that. We've seen it a number of times, even with Virgil on the other side. At times, if Costas or Robbo aren't doing their job, you're feeling like you're having to cover that way all the time. You're not concentrating and focusing on your own job. So always a big one. Big shout out to Aeneas Alterations in Charlestown Shopping Centre. Yeah, check them out, folks. If you need any alterations done on your clothing or anything like that, that is the place to go. Eno's wife will sort you out there big time. And Joanne, I ordered some of them pies that Warren was on about from Pie Sports. Nice, Joanne. We'll have to get you. Let us know how you get on with them as well. Warren was cheerleading them there the other day. He thinks they're absolutely fantastic. If I was over there, I'd probably order them. Absolutely, yeah. The pies are absolutely quality over there. I don't think they taste as good by the time they get here, but great stuff going on there at the moment. Morris back in. Niall, if you could save Everton or Chelsea from relegation, who would you choose and why? And why would it be Everton? It'd be Everton, obviously, Morris, because I want to maintain the Merseyside derby. And of course, where I have a certain level of respect for Chelsea and what they've done in the game and stuff like that, I wouldn't have that kind of, dare I say, affection for them. We've had some great tussles last year. We had the tussles in the cup finals and stuff like that. It was really cool. But over the years in the Champions League and the ghost goal and all this kind of stuff, the history that's there and stuff like that. So we've had a couple of things, the Gerrard slip and all that. So, but yeah, I think it would definitely be Everton, 100% Everton. Niall, yeah, that's the same one. Yeah, absolutely. And Ted back in the comments as well. No, I think they are in real trouble with Silva gone, and I, for one, am willing to give them Maguire right now. No need to worry about the transfer window. They can just have him. Yeah, you could pull a Matt Doherty on it. Could you just release Maguire, terminate his contract? He's a free agent, and then Chelsea could bring him in. And you know something? Ted? I wouldn't put it beyond Todd Bowley at the moment. If he's contemplating potentially Jose Mourinho coming back in, good Lord, would Harry Maguire be a stretch? And Mark's back in. Defo save Everton. Don't like Chelsea. Yeah, Mark, I'd be kind of like that as well. I don't. I can appreciate Chelsea and what they've done and stuff like that. But Everton, yeah, you got to maintain the Merseyside derby, don't you? That has to be it, doesn't it? Let's take some player ratings. So where do we start with this? I'm gonna have a look now. Let's start with the big man at the back, Allison. Have it down here. Ali's getting a 7 tonight, but he was borderline in getting an 8. And again, let us know your ratings in the comments, guys, if you were rating them and stuff like that. Henry's just back in. Take this one. Our under-19s won earlier on Penal's in the U Cup. Yeah, absolutely. Was that the one? Did I read Henry in that? There was a little bit of a brawl as well. Did I read that? Bit of passion from our young lads as well. Not too sure. I thought I read there was a bit of a brawl and as well the boys were sticking up for themselves. And Ted back in. If they brought Josie back and he walked onto the training ground and Maguire was there, I think he killed somebody. Yeah, yeah. Be kind of at that Pogba level, wouldn't it, Ted? It'd be at that Pogba level. You imagine, yeah. So Ali gets a 7 tonight, borderline on an 8. I thought he was really good tonight. He's always solid. He's always aware. A little bit apprehensive at times tonight with the footwork again. But when he's releasing the ball quickly, and this is a shout out to Kostas Tsimikas, be aware this man releases the ball really quick, and those throw outs onto the wings are something special to release these counter attacks. You have to be much more aware of that. Costas when you're playing in the team. You can't jog off and go asleep on this man. This is what he does. He hit some fantastic balls out there tonight. And even some of the balls he was pumping out and he was hitting Salah with them. It was shades of the old Allison in there. Trent, I gave a 7 to tonight. I thought he was really good. He was getting stuck in tonight. There was a lot more tracking back from, a lot more covering, but also trying to create as much as he could going forward. better use of the central players and stuff like that and playing up the middle before switching out onto the wings. So I thought that pivot and dynamic there was really, really good as well. But he put in a real shift tonight. You could see it now at times again. Balls into the box were more sort of hit and hope rather than sort of, with that kind of intensity and intent. But only a small thing there from Trent, but much better tonight. More of a big Ibu Kanate came in. What can we say about this guy? So unlucky this season he's been, from that stupid injury against Strasbourg in a nothing game before the season even started. Really upset his season and stuff like that. He was absolutely fantastic for us prior to that. Gets a 7 tonight, Big Ebu. Just that calmness he brings into the defence. He's an absolute monster, so you're not going to get by him too easy. He's strong. He's physical. He sees a pass, a number of passes he played today into the midfield and also beyond. He just sees it and he just gets it. And that there is certainly the partnership going forward that we want. And dare I say even, and it's hard to even say this as well, but when he's on the pitch as well, I think he brings a bit more confidence to Van Dijk as well. And this is what we were talking about earlier, where you're kind of looking to your left and looking to your right, and you're kind of trying to figure out who you have to cover for or where it's going to go wrong and stuff like that. I think tonight Van Dijk was more concentrated on his own game, and it showed in his game as well. So Ibu gets a 7 tonight, and fair play to him, and I look forward to seeing him on Sunday against United. Let's see what happens. Virgil tonight, I gave an 8 to. I don't think he was overly troubled at times, and he was able to read the game much better. He did play a few nice passes as well. He kind of struggled at times a little bit with the link-up play with Costas, and still in that first half as well, which is a real bane to me as well, where they pick up the ball looking forward and stuff like that, and it's back into Alisson again, and it just kills the game and kills the momentum. When there's an opportunity there to turn and play a more positive ball, forward thinking and stuff like that, you should always do it. Sometimes there's just too much of this ball into Virgil, ball into Alisson, back out to Costas, back into Virgil, back into Alisson. Now, I know if someone isn't shown for it and you're not getting the movement that you want in the team, you have to play like that. But I think at times, especially first half tonight, there was too much of that, and it kind of killed our forward momentum on what we were trying to do. Once we came alive in the second half, we were absolutely putting them to the sword with our movement down the wings and through the middle and everything. And also, more of that is what we want to see. Costas tonight, I gave a 7 to. First half, I thought he was just a little bit kind of, I don't know. He looked like a guy who hadn't been playing. He seemed a little bit rusty and just a little bit off and stuff like that. Even second half, when it opened up, you seen the ball out from Alisson and it just flew out of play because he just hadn't got that awareness that he was lacking even in the first half. But then sort of got a bit more confident and came more alive as the half went on, the second half. So give him a 7. Set piece deliveries were a little bit inconsistent, but again, we've seen that with Robbo as well, and it's something that both should work on. And normally with Costas, his delivery and his final ball and stuff like that is normally pretty good. But tonight just lacking a little bit. But great involvement for the second goal as well, I have to say. Fabinho tonight, the man who's been getting an awful lot of grief the last number of weeks and a lot of this season as well. We know he's had a lot going on personally and stuff like that, but a lot of people are talking about his legs being shot and stuff like that. Now tonight he was playing as well. Now what I would say as well, he wasn't the speediest guy in the world, and you can see again tonight as well that even when players kind of get the better of him and stuff like that, he just there's a kind of a petulance in terms of his fouling and stuff like that. And some people would say there was an argument tonight that last trip as well that he put in there and stuff could have easily been a sending off that would cost us. So we have to be careful about that. But Fabinho gets a 7 tonight, a better shown in terms of breaking up the play, a little bit more forward movement in terms of his play as well. What I would like to see is when the play breaks down, that he's the man who's busting a good to get back into position, back into shape and stuff like that, to break up the counter-attack and stuff like that. I'd like to see a lot more of that. My main man, Daz Reynolds, is in the comments as well. Daz, how are you doing? Big up, Daz. Big win tonight. Happy going into the big game against United on Sunday. Let us know your thoughts, Daz, what you thought of the game and everything, yeah? Harvey Elliott. Harvey's getting a 7 tonight. Most of them are getting 7s tonight. There was a level of performance tonight kind of hard to judge it as well, because first 45 minutes was still a little bit kind of off. Let's say second 45 was much better, especially from say 65 minutes on. We kind of took control of the game and we brought a little bit of energy and stuff like that. I'd also have to say at this point as well, the crowd tonight, I thought, until around 60 minutes or so, like that, were very flat as well. If I'm sitting at home watching the telly and I'm hearing the Wolves crowd, I'm very, very concerned. So Anfield, fix yourself up there, will you, crowd? Come on. Let's go. Let's get behind the boys here. We're trying to push here for the top four, get these guys over the line. So give us a bit more. Lots of endeavour from Harvey tonight as well, and lots of energy and stuff like that. I think at times in the first half as well, you see, it's just his lack of physicality in that midfield. Just sometimes lets him down and stuff like that. It's not from any lack of effort. Has bag loads of skill, has plenty of football now. Has had a couple of good chances tonight. Should have put that header away. He'd be kicking himself over that header. He was absolutely disgusted. But that's a sitter of a header to put away. Very, very unlucky. But was getting himself into those positions for those opportunities. Again, getting banged around a bit because of the physicality. But certainly put in a great shift and forced some decent saves from Jose Sa. Stefan Bietic, this is the man who I want to talk about. This is kind of the man of the moment. He's been the talk of our team this season since he has come in. And as I said earlier in the match reaction, this is the man who was sitting in the midfield. He's 18 years of age, and he's telling senior players where he wants them. He's telling senior players where their position should be and stuff like that. And I love to see lads like that. I love to see lads like that who feel that their place is in the starting lineup, who feel that they can turn around to senior players and say, that's not good enough, that's not good enough. That's the guy you're looking for the future as a potential captain and stuff like that. And hats off to Stefan Bietic tonight. Give him a 7. Very, very strong, great at tackling, some nice link-up play with Nunes. I like the way he slotted into the midfield at times as well, in terms of that central area as well, supporting Fabinho at times when they went hunting. And that's what I want to see from that guy. Again, has to be a little bit more careful in terms of the tackling, especially the tackling. I know when it's Wolves on the break, you sometimes have to cough up the tackle. But if he continues to get these early bookings and stuff like that, it just stymies his level down slightly in terms of his impact on the game and stuff like that. He has to manage his way through the game. You've seen it on the wing tonight when Wolves picked up the ball and stuff like that. He was about to lay in a tackle and he kind of backed off it and stuff like that because he was already on a bucket. So it's those kind of things that could hold him a little bit. Daz back in again, my man. Happy with the win. Same on Sunday, I think. Though. I certainly hope so, Daz. What I would say, and I said it earlier, I don't know if you were tuned in, we need more of that second half and less of that first half. The first half at times reminded me of the Palace thing, the Palace performance. So yeah, but absolutely. But we need to kind of string two halves together, because you look at United at the moment, they're just so powerful, and that's what would worry me. Henry back in as well. Were you surprised about no subs? You mean a half time, Henry? Do you? Until very late. Yeah, it was, I suppose. But I suppose you're looking at Jota there as well. He spoke about him being rusty and stuff like that, so he needed minutes. But yeah, I think once you at 1-0, you're kind of not too sure, and we kind of were getting the upper hand. At 2-0, then you have an opportunity to do it, because honestly, the heart was just ripped out of Wolves at that stage. And we know once that's happened to them this season, it's very difficult for them. They tend not to come back into games. They tend to lose until very late. Yeah, absolutely. It's no harm though. I mean, it's Wednesday. The game is Sunday afternoon. There's plenty of time to recover and stuff like that. And I think honestly, Henry, as well, if you ask most Liverpool fans as well, the quicker games come at us and the less actual time we have to think and training and stuff like that, we tend to perform better. If you look at last season, the games came out of so quick last season and stuff like that, and we absolutely gobbled it up and we loved it, you know. And Daz is in. Henry, I have a video on new channel on Friday morning sometime. Great stuff, great stuff. Cool. That's what we want. Supporting in the thing all the time. Mo Salah tonight. Mo Salah's another one, isn't it? It's kind of like, you can't fault him for endeavour. You can't fault him for trying things. He's beginning slowly but surely to create a bond in there with Nunes. Has a slight bond with Jota. You know, you're seeing shades of him and Trent again developing a bond with Cody Gakpo. And it's slowly but surely coming around, and it's been a very frustrating season for Mo Salah. But you can see little shades in there. The only thing we're missing from Mo Salah, you heard on some of the content creators, like Mo Salah has to start because we don't have an option in terms of replacing them and stuff like that. And I think I I see that point of wanting competition in there for Mo to raise his level up again. Um, but not necessarily the decision to take him out again. Maybe for some games he might need to be rested. It's a long season for him and stuff like that. But I think he's been adjusted into a number of different positions with a number of different front men. You can see tonight Bobby comes on again. And sometimes when Bobby comes on now, you look at Bobby and you look at Mo, and it's like they've never played together. It's just a weird one. And Henry goes, I've subbed you, Daz. Daz, drop your channel into the chat there, my good man. I have to go and sub it as well. I don't think I've subbed it yet. So drop it in there as well. And anyone in the chat, head over and sub Daz's channel as well. And push Henry over the 80. Henry, let me know if you're on the 80 or over it. Would you start saying front three against United, Niall? Would I? No, I don't think so. What I would do is I would go with Darwin, Cody, and Mo. And what I would do is I would get Jota ready from the bench to come in and shake it up. That's what I think I would do. I just think with Martinez and Varane in there, I assume are going to be in there. I think they could make Jota's world very frustrating. I think Cody and Darwin might be a little bit more dynamic in creating a bit of chaos in there. And then I think obviously having Jota as an option from the bench is fantastic for us. But I think I'd go with the three that kind of, nearly ended the game. Nunez, Cody, and Salah. That's what I'm thinking. Morris, still think Liverpool should have reactivated Shelby's buyback clause. Stop, will you? Stop now, come on. Daz Marks, it's called Niall. Brilliant, absolutely. Daz, absolutely. And if you have a link to the channel, Daz, feel free to drop that link into there if you want, into the comments for people to sub it if you have a link to the channel. Not a problem at all. Diogo Jota gave a 7-2 as well. I think he's just working his socks off at the moment, but still trying to find that kind of rhythm to the game and stuff like that, back and forth. At times he can make it look a little bit disjointed, but no lack of effort. He gets absolutely stuck in. He doesn't shirk a channel. Got a great assist tonight for Van Dijk as well. The thinking of, like, you've seen him in the last week or so, whereas when he's been in that position, he's been pulling on the shot and hitting it into the side net or off the post. Now he's starting to think, and he's getting his thinking back more in terms of football. And what he's doing, he picked up the ball tonight, squared it, seen Van Dijk in there. That was the better option, and that's what he took. And it's kind of that nous that we're getting back now, and it's good to see from Jota. We know how good Diogo Jota is as a player. He's absolutely sensational. But just needs that time. He's been out for a while. And he's just beginning to feel that rhythm of the game as well, where he can work within it. Darwin Nunez, I give a 7-2. Darwin's unbelievable. The energy he expels in the game, up and down that wing constantly, and the speed at which he moves, and even his cleverness on the ball, little flicks over defenders and stuff like that to run onto the ball. And Darwin was just sensational tonight, and long may it continue. And we said it the other day, we missed him badly for Crystal Palace. When Darwin is on the pitch, he brings that energy onto the pitch that makes other players lift their game as well. And certainly the runs that he makes and his movement and stuff like that also at times lifts the crowd as well, and that's really, really important for Darwin. Cody came on for Jota on 75, gave Cody a 7. Massive important role in the build up to the second goal and stuff like that. But Cody is one of those guys as well. He looks like he's starting to find his rhythm there as well, and we need to exploit that. We need to use that as much as we can. So we have to kind of try and find a balance now. And dare I say, we've a little bit of an abundance of riches up front at the moment for the first time this season. So a little bit of a headache for the gaffer and stuff like that. But Cody is certainly looking more dynamic, and he's adjusting now to the Premier League and the way that it works and the difference between that and the Dutch league. So Fair play to him. Jordan came on for Stefan Bietic on 79, no need to rate it. And James Milner for Trent on 90 minutes. Well done, Jimmy. You get your appearance bonus or whatever it is. That's our ratings. This has been our match reaction. Up next is Man United. We will be back tomorrow night with Thursday Tier Talk at 9:30 for about an hour. We'll preview all the Premier League action. No doubt myself and Dazzler will get into the chat about the big game on Sunday, which will be a huge talking point of the show. We'll have all the latest news. Will Jose Mourinho be going back to Chelsea? Will Graham Potter survive? We'll be asking all those questions as well. We'll also be talking about Beat the Bookie, and we'll be giving you our tips and picks. Our kind of resident tipster, Joe Smith, she will be in there letting us know her picks and stuff like that. And we'll see. So have a think about it for tomorrow night. Let us know your picks and tips for Beat the Bookie. And let us know your predictions for the weekend's football. Friday morning, of course, Fantasy Chancer will be back. We'll have that show up that Morris does from GP Productions Podcast, your fantasy football show. Friday night, I'll be doing a preview for the United game. That should be an interesting one based on the fallout from tonight and stuff like that. Certainly, we're going in with a tad bit more confidence, and always good to keep a clean sheet. Where are we? Do you think Diaz will come back in a month? I certainly hope so, Henry. I certainly hope so, because you know something, Henry? He could be that one piece of the jigsaw that pushes us into that top four. Just think about it. When you think about the effect he had when he came in last season, he could be the guy that really lifts the team, that you're starting to go onto a pitch and you're looking around and the 11 players that you see are a lot more familiar than what they have been this season and could inspire players on, So certainly I hope he does come back. All the talk at the moment is that he's doing great, so I hope so. GP, I'll sub in, throw it in, man. Yeah, absolutely. And Daz says, there's the link, Niall. Absolutely brilliant. My man, Kyle Walsh, we're going to win the league. That's what I want to hear, Kyle. That's what I've been waiting for. All season I've been waiting for that. We're going to win the league. Put it out there. Puff your chest out. Scream it strong and loud. Arsenal are going to win the league, and that's what I want to hear. And if you keep on believing it and sending those good positive vibes to the club and to the players and back your manager, back all the players, all that kind of thing, it can happen, Kyle. It can happen. You just got to believe that it's going to happen. That's it. I wouldn't say tonight is a big win because that's a poor Everton side, but that's a great win to get. It's 4 goals. It's a clean sheet. You played them off the park from what I heard. Morris was keeping me updated. Martinelli, Trossard, all these players you want playing well. Eddie came in, I think, as well and did well as far as I know. So, but I didn't get to see it. And Morris back in as well. And it will be up this week. The video that is, keep it clean now. Oh God. Do you know anyone who do racing tips on YouTube or Formula One, Niall? I don't. I know there's a load of lads. I tell you that if you're on TikTok is the dark web of tipsters. If you're looking at that. Yeah, I wouldn't have a clue. Years ago, Daz, I used to follow the horses. My dad was a breeder of thoroughbred horses. God bless his soul. So years ago, I used to have an interest in it when he'd be racing horses himself and stuff like that. A little known fact is my dad gave a champion jockey, you would remember if you follow especially the flat, John Murta. My dad gave John Murta a good start in the business when he was an apprentice and stuff like that. He used to ride for my dad, and my dad had the light blue and the dark blue. The Dublin colours were his colours, his jockey's colours as well. So pretty cool. There's a small story for everyone out there. And Henry back in as well. Please, Kyle, stop those OL liners. Yeah, I think, listen, I called this. I've been bigging up these guys before. These guys were bigging up when the Wexford League, mate. Stop now. Stop. Get in there. I hope you had a few beers, Kyle, as well while you were watching it and enjoying it. I don't know if you've heard from Dell. Some of his videos today were pretty cool with Zach as well. And Marcus back in. Rest will change the outcome of the league for a City win. Interesting. And Kyle, we will try Henry, And Henry, do it for Stephen. Yeah, R.I.P. Stephen as well. Yeah, I didn't know the kid that much, but I know, big Arsenal fan. I know he was on some of the content creators' pages and stuff like that. And always sad when you lose a guy, young lad as well. So yeah, R.I.P. Stephen. And Daz, did he used to ride for O'Brien, Niall? He did ride for O'Brien. He rode for O'Brien for a long time. I think he won a number of jockey championships with O'Brien and stuff like that. A fabulous jockey. But my dad saying him as an apprentice, and I think it was more because it was kind of it was advantageous for both at the time, because I know he was claiming a big weight as an apprentice as well. And my dad always loved to have the upper hand on the weights, especially when you're coming up those straights with those hills and stuff like that. But rode a couple of winners for my dad there, I say. Dad had a winner at the Curragh, and he had a winner at Fairy House, and a winner at Nice, I think. And I think Johnny Murtagh rode all three. So there you go. And Niall, what do you like from the Chinese? I'm a beef curry guy. You're going to get me talking about food at this time. I'm very simple when it comes to the Chinese, Morris. I'm normally a chicken balls guy with sweet and sour sauce or curry sauce. Or what I do like is I like the chicken curries out of the Chinese with the rice, or I like the satay chicken. There you go. And funny enough, I'm a big fan of prawns as well, but I generally don't order prawns out of a Chinese like that, but I would eat them if I frequented a Chinese buffet or something like that. But I don't think I've ever ordered prawns out of a Chinese takeaway. So there you go. That's the Chinese breakdown. And Kyle back in. Yeah, Della's having a great time. Yeah, absolutely. R.I.P. Stephen, an Arsenal legend. Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to him. And Henry, well, that's all for now. Good night, all you. You'll never walk alone, Reds. Absolutely, Henry. Have a good kip. Hope you bumped over the 80 there. I hope people went on support you and stuff like that. As always, really appreciate you being in the comments and in the chat. As always, folks, nice to come on and do a match reaction and player ratings. I have the mascot here beside me. He's a little bit more lively now because he has the hood off his head after getting the nads chopped off there about a week ago. So he's on the road to recovery there. Until next time, folks, you will never walk alone. Catch you tomorrow night for Thursday Tier Talk, and of course Friday for the big preview. Cheers, folks.